All right. Welcome. In the wake of Trump Doge initiative and Elon Musk leadership role, the nation is asking how much power should private individuals have over public institutions? Are we witnessing the rise of a new political era or a quiet handover of democratic control to billionaire technocrats? Welcome to the Political Common Sense podcast. I'm Leroy Glover, and I'm here with my childhood friends, Edward Blacknick and Kerry Langerback.
Good evening, folks.
How you doing?
All right. Last week, we tackled Doge, Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk. And this week, we're going deeper because the question that now being asked across America is this: are billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and others quietly replacing elected leadership? Are we witnessing a shift from representative government to influencer government? Let's call it what it is. Many Americans don't trust government anymore. But instead of demanding better, Ed, Curry, are we handing power to the private elites who were never voted in at all? And let me go a little further. Let me go into the main talking points for today's podcast. The billionaire takeover narrative. Is America shifting from a democratic republic to a billionaire-led technocracy? Here's the next one. Do we trust private innovators more than our elected officials? Why? And here's the last one. Is the public so fed up with the bureaucracy that they rather have billionaires run the country? Ed, Curry, talk to me.
Okay, Jerry, you want to go first? Or you want me to?
No, I prefer right now, after what I've seen over the years, politicians, of course, were ripping us off. I wouldn't mind billionaires, you know. Why not? They're smart business people. They know how to run things. I mean, really, the first term of President Trump, economy was good, right? Ran his business. Because that's what my brother was saying a while back. This country, everything is run business way. All the countries are running business way. That's the way they're living. So why not? Look what we had over the years with the politicians. Look what we're going through now. Look what Doge is finding out. Right? And those are the politicians that are supposed to be for the American people.
Well, first things I would say, okay. First, what I want to do is I want to take these questions one at a time. So you remember what those questions were, right? Okay, so I'm going to go with the first one. The first thing you asked me is,
are we handing power to the private elites who were never voted in at all?
okay, so on its most basic level, you're watching people walk into politics poor and walking out rich. Yet you're watching the rich people walk in and walk out poorer. So between the two, I got to figure out which one I trust. Okay. I know you say, oh, well, they're rich. You can't trust them. Okay. That's number one. Okay. So as far as the way I see an Elon Musk, what's the other guy's name? I can't.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Bezos is more for himself, where Elon Musk, you have to understand something. First off, Elon Musk, we're not talking about a normal human being. We got to start there. He's far from it. This guy's invented 3 separate industries. Okay.
The genius.
I'm not saying he added to 3 separate industries. He invented it. Dude, he's the inventor of PayPal. Okay. He's the inventor of buying stuff online and being able to pay through your technological device. That's him.
Yep.
He's the one who designed it. All right. He designed Starlink. Starlink, which is a floating freaking Wi-Fi, which is floating, it's a floating hotspot that goes around the world and brings Wi-Fi to places that don't have it, that our government couldn't put it there. His SpaceX is 10 times faster than NASA and half the price. And it's public. That's the other industry, by the way, public space travel. I mean, you're not talking about him reinventing a yo-yo. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
I
He
see
didn't
what you're
take a
doing.
yo-yo and make it look like a butterfly so
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
walk the dog with it.
Right,
He
right.
brought back 2 freaking astronauts. So you're not talking about somebody. He might honestly be the most accomplished and innovative guy on the face of the earth ever. Okay, so
I mean, think about it.
and now wait, you're saying that, but now I want to go. Can I get a little funny here, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Did you guys see a movie called The Predators? Predators. Not. It's the most
Yep.
recent version of Predator.
No, no,
Of
no,
the
no,
movie Predator.
no.
Okay. So this army guy comes across some of the Predator's weapons. Okay. And he sends it to his house, and his kid gets a hold of it. And it turns out his kid has what's that called? Not ADHD. What's autism? Okay, so yeah, Alzheimer's. That's me. Anyway, so his kid has autism, right? So his kid finds the weapons and figures out how to use them. All right. So now the predator wants him back, but the predator also is trying to gather up the smartest people from each species, the smartest being from each species throughout the galaxy. It turns out that autism that we look at as like a handicap, so to speak, is actually the next step of intelligence. Now, Musk has Asperger's syndrome. He has Asperger's. You didn't know that?
No.
He's got
Yeah,
Asperger's
he
syndrome.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, he
He's got
does. Yeah.
Asperger's. So not only are these woke individuals who want you to call them they them, insulting probably the most intelligent guy on the face of the earth, but they're also insulting someone who has a disease, a syndrome, Asperger's syndrome. So they're bullying him basically. It goes against everything they've ever said.
Gotcha.
Now, that all being said, we're not talking about your average individual when we're talking about Musk. That's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, we're not handing over anything. He only has 130 days to do what he's going to do. That's it. No
Mhm.
one's handing him 4 years of a presidency. The fact of the matter is that I think I might be. Let me slow down a minute. I might be going a little too fast with the podcast. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you can hear me, I don't care if you
Yeah,
can see me
yeah,
or not.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. You hear what I'm saying? So basically, what he's doing is he's just trying to make everything right for our country. That's all it really comes down to. He's so far he's lost, I think like $2.4 billion or something like that being involved with this. Okay, even to the degree that they talk about this guy Dan Bongino. You know who Dan Bongino is, right? And Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth, before he took that position, was making $4 million a year. He took that position and he's now making 200 and change. Okay. Dan Bongino was making $4.9 million a year with his
Yep.
podcast.
Mhm.
He took that position, he's making 2 and change. They're not doing it to get rich.
Understand.
AOC walked in with 60,000, is worth 29 million. And you're worried about Dan Bongino, and you're worried about a guy who has so much money that he couldn't even make anymore.
Yeah, he don't need no
You know,
more.
so that's the and the other stupidity of it is you will let anyone walk in off the street and put their name on the ballot. Okay, any stupid Joe off the street, but you're worried about whether the smartest man on the face of the earth is gonna help your country or not. I mean,
Understand.
it's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's
Gotcha.
just the dumbest shit. It's the reason I want Trump from the beginning is because your average person doesn't know how to handle money. Okay, I've said this before. You've heard me say it. The average person, if you give them money, you know what they do? They spend it. You give a rich person money, you know what he does? He makes more money. That's what the difference is. That's what the difference is.
That's
In
the
a
difference,
nutshell,
right?
that's the difference. A rich person takes the money and makes more. A poor person is so crazy that they finally have money that, as my grandmother would say, it burns a hole in their pocket.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Wow.
It's true. Come on, Leroy. We grew up that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next main point, talking point. Influence versus oversight. I'm going to give you two. What are the risks of giving unelected billionaires influence over military contracts, space travel, energy policy, education, and now government efficiency? Here's the second one. Are people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg becoming a de facto policymakers? Those are the two.
Okay, hold on before you, Kerry. You take that one because I'm going to jump out for a minute and come back in because I'm like I'm slow or something. I won't be long. I'm just going to hang up and jump back in. All right, Kerry, go ahead. You take that.
Kerry, so what are the risks of giving unelected billionaires influence over military contracts, space travel, energy policy, education, and now government efficiency?
Wow. That's a good one. I'm stumped on that. I gotta think about that one.
Okay, and are people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg becoming de facto policymakers because of their rich and their influence? You think they're influencing how elected officials are making policy?
No, they can't make policy. Okay, because policy has to go through our government, one of our government's three branches. You can't. They like you can be as rich as you want. You're not coming in and saying, I'm doing this, and no one can say anything. Everything has to be approved. That's why they call it red tape. Okay, because everything's got to be approved. As far as and the funny part is, you got to remember who you're dealing with on the top. It's Trump. Trump. The thing about Trump, where people make the biggest mistake about him, is they think because he listens to somebody, because he hears somebody, that he's going to automatically do it. He doesn't. He does what he thinks is right. Okay. And what I mean by that is he's smart enough. My grandmother, again, I love my grandmother so much. She had so many. She used to say the greatest thing about advice
So many good
is
sayings.
that you don't have to take it, but if you don't listen to it, you're an idiot.
Thank you for sharing that. That's what
That's a good
Grandma
point.
said. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's a
don't
very good point.
if you don't hear it, it's one option you no longer have. In other words, let's say you say to me, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I tell you, throw some water on you. Kerry tells you, throw some flour on you. Somebody else tells you, use a fire extinguisher. Well, you got three options there.
I see.
Whether you'll use one of them, I don't know which, but it's better to have all three options than only have one.
Understood.
That have none.
Understood.
So Trump will make the decision as to what's going to put out the fire. That's all. He'll hear you, he'll hear me, and he'll hear Kerry. But in the end, he's going to make the decision.
I like that. I like that. Right there within itself, that shows a lot of growth that he developed throughout the decades of being a negotiator, becoming the person that he is, which is Donald Trump. That's great.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't think you get to where he is by allowing other people to manipulate you. He manipulates everybody. Dude, these tariffs, you wanted to get to the tariffs, so let's go there now. If you remember our first few shows, I turned around and I said to you that the reason that he wants all of this to go on is to drop the Fed's percentage. Remember?
I remember that.
Go look at our first show. Go look at our first show.
Yeah, that's right.
Once he can't get Powell to drop the Fed rates, and he can't force him to do it. Powell doesn't like Trump. He hates Trump. Okay, so he's not going to help him in any way. So he's not going to drop the rates, which is going to help inflation, which is going to help. He's not going to do that because he's not going to make it better for the same way they wouldn't bring down the astronauts because it would have made Trump look good back in and during Biden's presidency. But what I'm saying is that he can't. So what he did was he figured out a way to force Powell. Powell was supposed to do it this week, actually. Powell resisted it. I don't know if you read it, but it was in the news. And if you don't believe me, you look it up right now. Powell resisted. He said, we have to wait another week or two. In a week or two, the Fed will drop the rates. You watch. Mark my words right now. In 2 more shows, you check me. In a week or two, Powell will drop the rates and everything will go back up. Kerry, what was the message I sent you earlier? Get Tesla stock. Grab right now. Tesla stock is at 239. Take a look at it. 239. You see if I'm not up on my numbers. It's at 239. It topped out at over 500. It averaged year to date 410.
Yeah.
It's going back to 410. Don't kid yourself.
Easily.
I'm going to be looking into that Monday.
The thing about the stock market is everybody thinks that this is based on some sort of fact, that it's dropping and it's driving, it's tariffs. None of that exists. Not this. The only reason it's dropping is on fear. It doesn't. The reasoning doesn't actually exist. It's not tangible. In other words, somebody didn't just burn a whole lot of money. That's not what happened. Somebody heard that this is happening, and then the other thing you have to realize is that your bigger investors look for a way to pull their money out. Okay, so if I'm a huge what's called institutional investor, okay, you're familiar with that, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm an institutional investor,
Vanguard, Fidelity,
right, and I want to pull out big chunks of my money, it's going to affect the stock prices. We all know that. So now I've got to worry about what the SEC is going to think, because are they going to think I got insider information? Are they going to think that there's something strange going on and put an investigation? This is what I got to worry about if I want to pull out that type of cash. You with me so far, right? This makes sense so far?
I love your thinking. I love your train of thought.
Okay, so anything that gives them the most remote point that they could be afraid and pull out their money and show, like right now, if the SEC turns around to them and said, "Why'd you pull all that money out?" They say tariffs. We love tariffs. Meanwhile, they were you have to realize how much profit they already had. So when they pulled out their money, they pulled out all their profits. Then what they're going to do is they're going to buy back in at half price, and then everything's going to go back up, and then they're going to make double the money.
Okay, what you just did right there, you just shared with me and all our viewers and listeners how it actually works in the real world of the financial institutions. Wow, that's their game.
I worked on Wall Street. I watched this. I worked in a boiler room. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. I started with a script that I had to read to people over the phone to try to get them to buy stock that I knew was like mediocre at best. I learned that, the first brokerage firm I was with were nothing but crooks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you straight out, they're all crooks. Okay.
Wow.
And if I told you who they were related to, you would they were related to a lot of stars, a lot of like comedian stars and stuff.
But you know what, man? Why are people freaking out over the tariffs? He just made a good point, and now I like to make a good point where everybody's freaking out of tariffs. But if tariffs is so bad for the economy, why do 170 countries have tariffs on us?
That's right. It's a great question.
Seriously.
Right?
That's a great question.
Really? Everybody here, like the Democrats, are freaking out over the tariffs, but 170 countries have tariffs on us and charge us higher. I'll just give you one.
Right. Now, but even at that, Kerry, you made a fantastic point. Don't get me wrong, fantastic point. But I'm going to ask you.
Thank you. I'm done. That's it. Thank you. Goodbye.
You always leave them wanting more. But I'm going to ask you another question, Lee. Forget that other countries have it. Let's say that every other country except one. Now, he said 170. 170 countries have tariffs on us that are higher than ours. And I'm talking about exponentially higher. I'm talking about between 35 and 150 to 200%. So
I'll give you one.
Wait, Kerry. So here's the deal. Let's say 169 of them didn't have tariffs on us. Okay, and only one does. Why is it wrong that we want to be equal with them? It's reciprocal. So, in other words, why is it wrong that if they have 15% tariffs on us, that we can't have 15% on them? Why is that wrong to want to be equal? Why do we always have to be the underdog?
Well, here's the best part. You ready? This is how fair this is, and I'm going to prove it right now. China is charging us 69%, right? Okay.
So every dollar that you spend with China, you pay an extra 69 cents.
Right. Now, but Trump's got only 34% on them. So who's higher? Okay. Now, here's the best part. Vietnam, 90% from us, right? Trump just wants 46%. So who's being fair? This is what he's trying to get.
Actually, I got to rescind that. I got to say it's actually backwards to what I just said. I just realized how it came out. What it is for every dollar that we send them, we're only making 31 cents on it. Think of it like that.
Understood.
So in other words, if you send them a car, right? Let's say we want to sell a car down there. We got to, let's say the car is $10,000, just for lack of a, we got to now sell that car for $16,900
Right.
in order to make up on the tariff alone.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
You understand? Where they send it to here, and they send
It's
a
crazy.
$10,000 car here, and it's $10,000.
Wow.
But this is what they were charging us, and Trump is still not charging them higher. He's Trump. Like I told you here. I mean, India was 52% charging us,
Oh, they're killing us. India's killing us.
right? And Trump's only going to charge them 26%. So who's doing? I mean, really? But
He's not trying, he just wants to wake them up to lower it and be a little more fair.
Wow. So Trump is looking for fairness across the board, the way that we interact with the world. Wow.
right,
A level
because look,
playing field.
this is just recent, the other day. So this ain't old one. This is just his new one now at the tails. And what I just said right now, what I just read is all true. These people are going higher, and he's they go higher. Okay,
Now,
there's a couple. I got a lot, but
okay, but here's the thing that's tripping me out. That's boggling my mind. Since Trump has been transparent, the reason why he's imposing tariffs across the border to all these countries, why are these countries coming up with the mindset of retaliating against Trump tariff policy? They've been taking advantage over America for all these decades. Why are they doing that? That's the part that's boggling my mind. I just can't understand that. Why is that?
because they got caught. They got caught taking advantage of us, and the other presidents, the wimps in the past, didn't do anything. So this man came along and said, "No, that's not the way it works." I mean, if you have a business, could you do that?
No, of course not. But here's the thing that's getting me. Why are these countries, after they got caught, instead of saying, okay, my bad, we've been taking advantage of you. Okay, let's be fair. Why are they like doubling down and saying
they're doubling down, basically.
Why? That's
Okay,
what's
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because they're so okay, dude. If you come to my ice cream shop every day and I give you a chocolate cone, right? I don't charge you. I just give you the cone.
I love you.
One day I look at my book and I realize that I'm going out of business because I'm not just giving it to you. I'm giving it to 10 other kids that are also coming. Okay. So you get where I'm going so
I
far.
see
You
where you're
understand
going
those
with
different
this.
countries,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I look at my books and I go, I can't keep giving these kids, So now you come to my thing, right? And I say to you, Lee, listen, you got to pay. You go, but I never paid before.
Yeah.
Why would I have to pay now?
Wait, I'm black. You're doing it because I'm black, right?
Wait. Now you can get that ice cream for nothing. Now I normally charge $3 for that cone,
Right.
but I've been giving it for nothing.
I know.
That cone in your eyes is not worth $3.
Right.
Think about what I'm saying here. Even though
Right.
to the next guy who came in who never got a free cone from me,
It's
worth
$3. Right.
But because you've been getting it for free, it's not worth it.
I'm entitled
Right.
to.
Right.
That's what they think. Right.
So I'm entitled, and now I feel a certain type of way that I want to protest, saying, "Hey, he doesn't like black people because he's not giving me a cone for free no more."
Right.
Right.
Meanwhile, the other
Exactly.
kid who came in, who I charged $3, could have been black as well. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's a personal
Yeah.
thing.
It's true.
People just love to be victims, dude. That's what it is. But this country thing, the reason that they double down, they've been dealing with basically wimps in politics from our side,
Okay.
and we
Right.
just give in. Dude, Blinken is the best example of the biggest wimp on the face of the earth. Anthony Blinken. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, biggest example of a wimp. He'd literally give away his underwear in the middle of winter. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding with you.
Yeah.
The guy is just unbelievably soft, and they don't realize that. Like, you have to realize that we see Trump and we know what Trump's about, and we know what type of strength he has. Okay, they don't, because they're not really privy to all of the media that we are.
I like
So they
that.
think they're dealing with a normal guy, and they only get what they hear from the Democrats. So according to the Democrats, he's dumb. He's shiftless. He's vulgar. He's this.
Far from that.
So they can get away with shit, and they're wrong. Vietnam's a great example. Vietnam just phoned in to the White House. We'd love to drop our tariffs against you guys to zero. If you guys can find it in your heart to have a meeting with us, we'd love. This guy's name is Lamb, I think.
I love Vietnam. You mean so they realize the wrong that they've been doing to America for all these decades? Now they're like, hey, we're going to come clean.
It's not. No. It's not like they just had an altruistic moment where they just decided, my God, I've been doing the United States wrong. It's not that. They just realized the United States is not going to help you anymore.
Yep.
If you fuck us, you know what you're doing? The United States is the lion with the splinter in his paw. And instead of you going over and taking that splinter out, you're going over and you're wiggling it around.
Right.
And eventually that lion will take your head off for doing it.
That's right.
So what they're trying to do now is they're trying to take that splinter out.
Okay.
To make friends with us.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yo, Vietnam is taking 90% from us.
Wow. Okay.
Did that make sense?
That makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you for clearing up Thank you, Trump. Thank you for your leadership in showing that, hey, that enough is enough with all these other countries taking advantage of America. Thank you for being a that
170.
170, Carrie, 170.
170 countries.
Yeah. I'm not making this shit up. You know.
And I swear to you, Lee, it's from like 35% to over 200%.
Crazy
tariffs.
We'll turn back on the tariffs. Let's go to our next main talking point for this episode. The rise of executive order and unchecked power. Here's two questions. Is the presidency becoming too powerful through executive orders like Doge? And here's the second question. Should Congress have more say in massive policy changes like creating federal departments? What's your take, guys?
No on Congress, okay? And on the first one,
right.
Doge has been around since before Obama, okay? Doge has been around before Obama. It just wasn't called that. It was called government efficiency. That's the only difference. And they could never do it because they weren't smart enough. It took the world's smartest man to do it. It took the world's richest and smartest man to do it with innovation. You have to realize that it couldn't be, first off, it couldn't be done back during Obama because we didn't have the technological advancements that we have now. Like we have AI. So there's a way of counting or doing an accountant's work that you can take, 7 or 8 AI robots and have them do what's that called? A forensic audit on every individual department of the United States and have them all do it in one day. Where this is something that would take 10 years for a team of accountants to do. So you could have done it back then to the degree it can be done now.
That's why they're finding out.
Yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with power. Okay, all they're doing, dude, it's no different than if when you do your household budget, if you turn around and say, you know what, going on a diet isn't such a bad idea. So I'm going to cut the fat. That's it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, the same concept.
Right. We had to live on a budget for the last 4 years, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really? You had to budget your rent. You had to budget your bills, your food. Come on.
Yes.
It's the same thing. You're not going to overspend if you don't have it.
They're all talking about the tariffs and how it's going to raise prices, and nobody cared about raising prices for 4 freaking years. and that didn't help. Wait. But that was for punitive years to where we were punished for 4 years. If we've got to pay a little more right now for something, you got to go with it because long term is what we're looking at. There's a rainbow at the end of this storm. There was no rainbow at the end of Biden. It just there's a rainbow here where we'll all you'll be getting goods cheaper from overseas. You'll be getting from Canada, from Well, Mexico soda. Let's do that. So you know what Mexico Coke is, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm not talking about cocaine. I'm talking about Coca-Cola.
Oh, yes.
Right? So I want to make sure we understand each other. Okay. So Mexico, that was good. So, anyway,
Gotcha.
so Mexico Coke is made with sugar, pure sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. Okay. So down in Key Food, where I shop, they've got Coca-Cola in bottles, and one is like colored. I'm colorblind, so you gotta bear with me if I'm wrong. But I think it's like an orange, and the other one's red. Okay, the red one is United States. The orange is the red. The red one is red and white, red with white lettering. The other one is orange and black, orange with black lettering, and that's a Mexico soda. It's
Oh,
made in
okay.
Mexico, so it's yeah. So it's got real sugar in it.
Oh,
The price difference, okay, is regular Coke for 6 bottles, a 6 pack is like $6.99. Okay, for like the 16 ounce, not 16, 12-ounce bottles. These are like the old time bottles.
right.
The Mexican one, which is the only difference between it, is it came from Mexico. It has sugar instead of corn syrup, which actually is cheaper. Okay, which actually should be a little at this point. When they first made the switch, it was cheaper to use the corn syrup. And it's also healthier. It's much healthier to have sugar rather than corn syrup. Corn syrup creates insulin resistance, which shuts down the metabolizing factor of your body. Anyway, for those out there who think that I'm trying to show you that I'm science, I forget what the comment was. Show me that you're scientifically illiterate. Anyway, trust me, that's factual. Anyway, so getting back to the subject. Okay, so the first one, the Coke from here, was $6.99.
Mm-hmm.
How much was the Coke from Mexico?
Assuming it was cheaper, right? $5 maybe.
$9.99.
Oh wow! And it's better for you.
Right.
Wow, so sad.
Why do you think? Why do you think it costs? Why do you think it costs $3 more, or 50% more, 47%?
Yeah. I can't even. I don't have the slightest clue. Why?
Because it came from Mexico. It had to get here, so it had to face a tariff.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It had
Now
to.
I'm going to go you one better. So like
That's why we need good tariffs.
you know, people are talking about, well, now we got tariffs, so everything's going to go up. So people who want to buy cars, let's say, great example, cars. People who want to buy cars, they're going to pay more, right? No, it'll all be ended before they have to replenish their inventory. The inventory right now they paid already for. So that's the price is the price is the price. They're not selling $100,000 cars before, the next 2 months, let's say.
So
Right.
So what you're getting me to think, which it makes a lot of sense. A lot of these companies are going to do what Vietnam did and come clean.
Yeah, they all will.
Most of them are, yeah.
I guarantee you. Listen, I'll bet you right now, friendly bet, me and you, okay? Friendly bet. $3, me and you.
Okay.
$3. Yeah, I'm up. I'm up there. Where's
Okay.
my count?
Okay. There you
I
go.
can't find my pinky. It's not my count. There we go. Okay.
Pinky bet.
Anyway,
$3. Okay,
$3.
gotcha.
$3. Pinky bet.
Okay, gotcha.
That at least 85% of those 170 countries come around.
Oh wow.
Yep. Yeah,
Wow.
I
So
believe it.
Gary, you got your calculator? Tell me what 85% of 170 is.
Oh yeah, carry with the calculator, right?
It's actually probably about 22. It's actually about like probably like 148. I'm guessing. So if 148 of them come around, that's 85%. I'm guessing somewhere around
Gotcha.
there.
No, I got you.
So and watch, I guarantee you they'll come
They
around.
will. They will come around. Sure. It's going to be fair. Trust me. It just takes time, like you say. But everybody's fortunate, but it takes time. Things take time. There's a rainbow at the end.
Always.
I like that. So when you say there's a rainbow at the end, you know what it makes me think? It makes me think
What, Lucky Charms?
it's going to take a while. So while Trump's term is going to be over, it seems like we're going to see the fruits of his labor right now transition 5-6 years from now. Everybody's going to be like, wow,
That's the plan.
That's the plan. It could be sooner, too. Watch. It's going to get better sooner.
That's the other thing. Is right now, our society doesn't have a distant sight. And what I mean by that is like everything is immediate gratification. It's got to be done now, now, now. I need a pair of sweatpants. I go online. It's here tomorrow. It's here in 2 hours. It's here. Everything is now, 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 now. And what we lost was the idea of planning. Without planning, you can't have a succession of events. And the only way you can make, listen, do you ever hear this phrase? This is like older than, this is probably older than Santa Claus. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
I love that phrase.
Nobody plans anything anymore. There's no plans. It's, it's go online, buy this. Oh, well, I don't need that. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Well, I'll send it back. There's no plans. There's no direct method to the madness. In Trump's case, it's all method, and it's no madness. It's just common sense.
The more I'm
common sense.
I'm so thankful that we started this whole podcast, the Political Common Sense podcast, because the more that we're digging deep, I'm loving the man even more now.
You have to, yeah. You know what you have to do, Lee, honestly? I wish I could remember her name. Oh my gosh. I'll find it and we'll put it up next time. There's a columnist, or maybe she ran, I can hear her saying it, but I can't picture her face now. She switched over from TDS to D. I forget what she said. It Trump. Well, anyway, she switched over from Trump derangement syndrome to loving him. She absolutely loves him. She said all I had to do was stop listening to the other side for 5 minutes and watch, and watch his rallies, and that's all I had to do. And I started looking into him, and she's like the biggest fan going of Trump now. Huge. Look at Leo Terrell. Look at Leo Terrell.
Yep.
Do you know who Leo Terrell is?
No.
Yep. Oh, he's a civil rights
Leo
attorney.
Terrell was this guy who was totally left. I mean, insanely left. Okay, you got to look him up. You'll love him. He's fantastic. I love this guy, and I even liked him when he was left, by the way, because he has fight. He's like, and now he's a total Trump guy. He's a total Trump guy. In fact, Hannity calls him Leo 2.0 because because he wears like the Trump hats. He wears like jackets.
Yeah.
He loves Trump.
Yeah, he's a civil attorney.
The problem with it is, Lee, that okay, so I'm going to really get basic here, and this applies to about 50-60% of the left, of the Democrats in general that don't like Trump. What happened was the first few months, they let the left talk them into disliking, okay? And once they did that, this root inside them was, I hate the man, I hate the man, I hate the man. Then the man did some good stuff. He actually did some good stuff. But these are people who can't admit to being wrong. Like, I can turn around to somebody and I can go, listen, I was wrong about you, and I'm sorry. I owe you a major apology.
You could do that.
Easy. They can't do that. So anything he does is not going to affect what they think, because if they turn around and say, I like him, they would be wrong. And they don't have the ability to be wrong. That's what it comes down to. They don't have the ability to say, I was wrong about something.
Right. They can't say that. They can never admit that.
Okay, hold on for a second, because you just touched on something right there that going back to, I'm a little confused. That's why, wait. That's why you get the whataboutisms. Like you'll say, well, Trump did this. And they'll go, well, what about when he did that? And we're not, they can't answer on the same subject that you're speaking. They've got to manipulate it to another area. Like, great example is they couldn't be wrong about Biden either. Did this apply from the opposite side? So in other words, they thought Biden was all heaven and lace. You know what I mean? So they couldn't be wrong about that. But they couldn't answer anything. So you would turn around and you would go, but he's shuffling his feet. He doesn't know where he is. Well, what about when Trump did this? But that doesn't answer why Biden's shuffling his feet and doesn't know where he is. Great observation.
You're just moving the conversation to another place that you're comfortable with.
Slow down, Professor. Slow down. You're a psychologist now. Slow down. Put on your psychologist hat.
No, it's true. Biden falls up the stairs, but
Curry, slow down.
What about Trump? What about Trump when he said this?
No. Help me out.
It's apples and oranges.
Slow down. These individuals have master's and doctor's degree. Why would they?
That's the biggest problem, because they assume that because they have a couple of letters after their name, it makes them intelligent. It just means you were able to sit still and study. That's all it means. That doesn't mean you have any logical applied theories that actually like are correct. The problem, like you're saying, most of them just aren't actually up on that level. But they're like, and they're mostly like art majors.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing: if they know something is wrong, why would they automatically say? Why wouldn't they admit, okay, that was wrong? Why would it immediately shift, like you said, to what about? Why wouldn't they just?
Because you got to be able to admit you're wrong. That's the start of it.
That's
and
it.
They can't do that.
That's it.
And they can't do that.
They're too smart.
It's not what we learned growing up, there, Leroy.
Oh,
yeah, we learned you're wrong.
I'm dumb. I'm garbage. I'm deplorable. I'm
we're Nazis.
We call them Nazis. Dude, do you know, honestly, if I was a Nazi, I mean, do you have any idea how many people would be dead?
I hear you.
I'm serious. It's like, it's absurd, man.
I know.
They call Trump an anti-Semite. His grandchild is Jewish. His daughter converted to Judaism. His son-in-law is one of the biggest Jews in Manhattan.
Yeah, they're smart.
Come on, man. They call him a racist. Yet I forget her name, man. The first person he let out of jail was a black female. I forget her name, man. I can't think of it.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I think I know what I can attach to why they wouldn't agree to being wrong. It must be that the ego levels must be so high.
Yes.
In order to admit, okay, I was wrong. 2 + 2 equals 4, not 7.
But see, it's not being wrong. It's not about being wrong. It's about us being right. Because if they admit that we're right, listen, if they admit that we're right, then we outthought them. Then we seem smarter than them. And they can't handle that.
Right.
They can't handle that truth?
No, my brother.
And nobody's thinking they're smart. Listen, let me tell you something, Lee. There are people out there who can multiply 7,859,000 times 65 million and answer it in the blink of a fucking eye.
God bless.
I can't do that.
Right.
I can't do that. But that doesn't mean I'm stupid, because that same person can't change a carburetor on a car, but I can. We just have different talents. That's all it is. And we're all right at some time, and we're all wrong at some time.
Wow.
And you got to be able to realize that. But when you've been told since you're a child that you're the golden child, you're the best, you're smarter than the adults, there's no one like you, no one can touch you, you're the amazing, you're the amazing Randy of the world, When you're told that, you grew up thinking that you can't be wrong.
And when you become an adult, it's hard to relinquish.
Right.
Understood. Ladies and gentlemen, we just learned a powerful paradigm right there. Thank you. Thank you for bringing and clearing my thought process. I'm trying to figure out why these intelligent individuals can't admit that they're wrong, but you just brought it right there eloquently. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now listen, can I just say one more thing about that? When my brother Ed just said that people can't admit they're wrong. He knows this. I dealt with people like this, right? And I'm still dealing with people. And I'm still dealing with people like this that, even though I just became right, they will never admit they're wrong, right, brother?
You know people like that, Lee. You got it.
Sorry?
There's no way you know. Everybody knows people like that.
I'm dealing with people like that, yes. I'm dealing with people like that they know they're wrong, but they will never admit it.
Okay.
Kerry, let me ask you a question. You've been around me so much, right? How many
50
times
years.
do you hear me say, I'm wrong, I don't know? The thing, that's the problem, is people can't just say, I don't know. Listen, there's times where I'll tell you, listen, this is the way it is. And when you hear me say it like that, I know. There's no question. I absolutely know everything that I'm saying, okay?
Right.
But if I don't know, I'm the first one to go, I have no idea.
But I'll take a guess. I remember many times you saying,
yeah, I'll help you, but you realize it's a shot. It's not like I know. And that's the problem, is people can't admit when they don't know something. It's always got And what they do is instead of admitting that, they redirect the conversation to meet what they need to make them look right.
Man, we grew up on the same. I mean, come on. If you're wrong, you admit you're wrong. When you were a child, if you did something wrong, you say, "I'm sorry, I'm wrong."
Oh yeah, done.
We did it right.
That ain't the way it is now.
Wow.
So you do it when you get older. You do it when you get older. If you're wrong about something, say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm wrong." You know, but that's why you learn, educate yourself, read. That'll help.
Let's okay. Before we wrap up, Ed, I'm going to leave this up to you to help educate the well-educated individuals on, I guess, a 3-step plan on how to actually be able to admit you're wrong. Not so in a sense where you're not discrediting your doctorate degree, your master's degree, and all your educational accomplishments. How would you guide them to at least take the steps, the first initial baby steps to like, okay, I don't understand it and I might be wrong. What words of advice or wisdom would you give those individuals?
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Okay, so you might be, like, you might be extremely intelligent, on a level of let's say you're
Neurosurgeon.
wait, okay, no, let's say, okay, neurosurgeon, that's fantastic. So
That's a real one.
majors more in medical and biological and all of that stuff, but that doesn't mean you know damn shit about an electrician's job. So you may be the best freaking neurosurgeon in the world. That don't mean you can put in an outlet. Don't
That's right.
overplay your hand. That's what you're doing. What you got to do is realize that there's humility everywhere. Dude, there's a septic guy out there who knows more about something than you do as a neurosurgeon. Okay, there's there's a guy out there who impregnates horses. Okay, he does, and he knows more about that than you do, even though you're in the same field, basically. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and it's okay to accept that weakness as being wrong. You're human. You can't know everything. If you did, you'd be. Who was that dude? What was the guy's name? Mentos. I forget his name. Anyway, there was like this character when I was a kid. He had a big ass head, Mentolo or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
I'm getting that from King of Queens, but I can't
Yeah,
think of
can't
what
think
the
of his
actual
name.
name was. But he had this he had 2 brains. It was on Star Trek. He was one of the Star villains. He had like 2 brains with it looked like an ass on his head. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, it did. I know who you're talking
and it looked
about.
like and you know who else was in that episode was Lurch. Lurch he played his bodyguard. What the hell's his name? Ted Cassidy, right, from the Addams Family. He was in it. He played his bodyguard, this Mentalo, whatever his name is, bodyguard. But it's just the problem is that we allow our pedigrees to designate how smart we are, and it's not really that only applies in the pedigree that your applied science goes to. It doesn't apply to other things.
Thank you.
Again, you may be a neurosurgeon, but that don't mean you can bake cupcakes.
That part right there. Thank you for the public announcement to all the scholars that are intellectually superior to just the average individuals. Thank you. Well, for time purposes, that's a wrap for this episode of the Political Common Sense podcast. Next week, we'll go through a layer deeper. If private sector becomes the government, what happens to the people? And is American voters slowly becoming irrelevant? Ed Curry, you have anything you want to share before we go?
Well, just would like send your donations to, of course, St. Jude, Shriners, Tunnel to Towers. Whatever you could donate helps. And so, that's where your money should go if you're gonna, put towards anything. And that's the crash level. You got people out there, they put their money towards these stupid things, and you got kids. Yeah, really. That's why I get disgusted sometimes in these people.
How smart was I to check that mute?
I love that. That was perfect. That was perfect. Yes.
Okay, so I also want to say this. Listen, we don't have really the viewership we'd like. We'd really like, you guys, if you can get the word out and just get some people to watch us. Even if you don't want to watch, just click on it so we get the number. No, I'm just kidding. But no, hit the like, the subscribe, but please get some people to watch if possible. And we'd really love to have one of you guys on as a guest. We do this on Saturday afternoons at like 3:30. If you got some time and you want to join us, give us an email or write it in the comments. We'll bring you on in. We'll have some fun. We'll hear your version and your views. I promise you, there will be nothing nasty at all. There won't be any insults or just fun, just logic and
We're nice people.
common sense. And as Kerry said, we hit some of those charities. They really do need it, and I think that's really all I got to say, bro.
All right, guys. Thank you once again. We totally appreciate your view. Enjoy. Have
Yes.
a great week.
Have a great day, guys.
Enjoy your week, everyone.